Hello and welcome to another edition of Overcoming Illness. I am Paula Denoncourt, your host, founder, and CEO of Enrich Your Health. I'm a holistic health consultant. I've been doing my business since about 2010. I do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, speaking engagements, and now my own TV show. So I am looking to partner with other practitioners out there. If you have clients or patients that, I don't know, keywords are, I just don't know what to eat, then I'm your girl. I had to eat gluten-free, sugar-free, dairy-free, nut-free, all of that free because I suffered from multiple food allergies. So I decided to do this show because I want to help people out there that are going through other things besides just food allergies. People out there dealing with autoimmune issues, cancer, congestive heart failure, mold toxicity, autoimmune illness, and so much more. And I can't even wait to introduce my guest tonight because this woman is not just a survivor of different illnesses, she's a warrior. When I saw all the things she's been going through and has gone through, I am just in awe of her and what she still continues to conquer, and just how she can live her life, to the fullest, with all that she's gone through and is still going through. So, with that, I am looking for more people to be on the show. So if you've overcome an illness or you know somebody who's gone through an illness, please reach out to me. You can reach out to me on Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger. You can text me, 508-330-9665. I just remembered I forgot to change the banner. I apologize. And if you want to be a sponsor, I'm looking for sponsors for the show. We had Paula last month, which I'm so grateful for. So we need more sponsors so I can continue to do this. And what was the other thing? Oh, if you want to be in the business spotlight, it's a little slightly different than being a sponsor, not as expensive. So that's something we can discuss too. So you can text me 508-330-9665. So without further ado, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Tyquise. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you are.
Okay, awesome. So Tyquise Bennett is our guest tonight. She's 38 and she's originally from Trenton, New Jersey. She currently resides in Owings Mills, Maryland. She's a mother of two amazing daughters. She's a full-time employee at a local hospital, and she works as a data admin support specialist. And she didn't add this, but I'm adding this. She's also an entrepreneur for, I think it's paparazzi jewelry.
Yes.
Yes. She has a BA degree in psychology. She is a stroke survivor. She was born with brain malformation at birth, which means she had half a brain. She's an epilepsy survivor. She survived migraines, domestic violence. She loves and trusts God and what He's done for her and what He is doing in her life. So welcome, Tyquise. I'm so excited for you to be here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Well, I am excited. So let's go back a little bit. You said you're originally from Trenton, New Jersey, so you were born and
Yes.
raised there. Did you have a big family? Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes. I don't have a big family, but I'm the oldest out of four. I'm the oldest. So I have two sisters, two brothers, three siblings on my father's side and one sibling on my mom's side, but I'm the oldest on
Oh,
both sides.
wow.
Our family is medium sized, so it's a good range of people.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I'm more of a. I've lived in the city for a majority of my life, but I can fit into the county, or country. I like animals and relaxation. I love water. I love being by water. Camping, horseback riding. Those are my type of relaxation activities or
Oh,
de-stress.
wow. You like horseback riding. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
I
Right.
did that
So
once, only once in my life, and it was actually the best place you could ever go. It was in the back beaches, the back of the beaches in Bermuda.
oh
Now,
wow.
I've never been horseback riding, so let me tell you, it was a little bit painful at the same time. But it
Oh,
was just so gorgeous. I mean, what a place to go horseback riding. So
that
that's
is that
awesome.
is one of the things I would like to do. I would actually like to go horseback riding in the water on one of the islands. I would love that.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what we did. I think I want to say it was so long ago, but it was it? Yeah, it was Bermuda. It was definitely Bermuda. We might have been on the edge of the beaches like every now and then, but it was like the back
Okay.
of the beaches, so you could see it was gorgeous. Yeah, it was the only time I've ever been. Grew up in Massachusetts myself, tons of places to go horseback riding, and I never went.
That was
Only when I
actually
went to
that
Bermuda.
was actually the first time I went horseback riding. I was in Massachusetts because my grandmother stayed in New Hampshire for a while I was growing up. So that's actually where we went horseback riding in Massachusetts.
Oh, whereabouts? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I was 11 years old, but I just know we had fun.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So let's talk about your life growing up a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, so you were born with half a brain. So how was it going to school and just, how did your parents even know? Did they know right away you had half a brain?
No, actually it was weird because how it was explained to my parents, well, my mother, when I was growing up, is that I had hydrocephalus, but the attributes of someone with cerebral palsy. So all my life, it was always said that you have hydrocephalus, you have hydrocephalus, and for most people, who doesn't know, hydrocephalus just means water on the brain. So,
Again, slowly. How do you say that?
hydrocephalus,
Hydrocephalus. Okay.
yeah, which is water on the brain. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much how I had gone through life. But I was born 2 months early, so that was a concern. And when I was born, my head was enlarged abnormally to a different size, as well as my as I started getting older, they started to notice that I wasn't using my left side. So with all that being said, that's when the doctors started telling my mom things that were happening. That's when it was found that I had a stroke even before I was born. So
Oh,
they found that out. Um, and they pretty much said that they assumed that my mom's body was trying to get rid of me, and that's why everything started happening. So growing up in life was really hard because I was so unsure of how I was supposed to live, what
mm,
kind of person I was supposed to be. It was all fun because nobody in my family treated me any different. But outsiders could be really mean. So it was like I could be the nicest person, but of course kids are going to laugh, kids are going to tease.
mm-hmm.
Um, I found it that older people were also really mean too. Oh well, what happened to you? Why do you have a limp? Why do you walk that way? Why is your hand that way? So after a while, I just didn't pay it any mind. And it seemed like the more I didn't pay it any mind or didn't address it to anyone, it was easier to go through life. But it was also harder because I wasn't sure who I really was. And there were parts of me where my hand is straighter than it is now. But before I was 17, my hand used to bend like a U, and I could touch my fingers on my arm. So I had surgery when I was 17 to straighten that. And what I used to do when kids used to tease me in class, my index finger on my left hand used to be really flimsy, like it didn't have a bone in it. And I used to bend it back to scare the kids that used to tease me. So that was my way of dealing with it. But it was hard. And I would have to say there were more times that I was probably embarrassed of my hand or my leg or the way I walked. So for a very long time is I felt like I brought my friends because it was like, oh well, if you be my friend, I'll get you this, or I brought snacks, or you could come over my house and spend the night. And when I look back now that I'm older and now I have my own children, they were never my friends to begin with. because they would laugh and tease me when others would come around. So that's not a real friend, even through middle and high school. So it was hard, and I don't speak on it a lot because it's like people don't really understand. People can judge a person just by how they walk and they really don't know them. That's a problem. But most people do it so often and so easily that when people do have something physically wrong with them, they don't like to be um in places where there's going to be a lot of attention. I
Mm-hmm.
love being around people, but I don't like being in areas where I feel like if I'm coming in and it's a large crowd, they're going to stare or they're going to assume, or then I get my anxiety goes up because then it's like, well, what if I trip, stumble, or fall? Then I'm going to have to deal with the embarrassment and the strangers laughing at me, which the laughing I don't really care, but it's the inside thing to make me feel less of a person when this is happening. So for a very long time, I didn't like myself. I didn't accept myself. I put up with a lot of nonsense from people, whether
Mm-hmm.
it was friends, family, and it was hard. I would have to say it's taken me up until the last maybe 3 years to really recognize you can either like me or don't, but I'm going to be me. And I'm a genuinely good person, but people see what they see, believe what they believe, and so they're going to miss out at the end of the day, is how I look at it from this point.
You're making me think back. I met a girl, woman in college. She
Hmm.
was handicapped, but she was born with it. Kind of, I don't even know what you called it. She was very short. She was about 4 feet tall. She had to walk on the sides of her feet. And she also had like a bag, what do you call those bags? She couldn't, go to the bathroom normal.
Colostomy bag, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, she had to have that. And she was constantly being made fun of, and I remember being in crowds with her, and she'd get upset, people staring, and at first when I first saw her, I will admit, I was a little judgmental too. I'm like, wait, what's going on with this person? And I got to know her, and we wound up being like almost best friends in college. I mean, we were really good friends. That girl could do more than I could.
And most and
Yeah.
most people don't understand that. Like, yes, I have a half a brain, but I
Mm-hmm.
also have a college degree. I was a class vice president in high school. I
Mm-hmm.
participated in the Future Business Leaders of America in business law, and I actually won in the city. Uh,
Yeah.
So it's like I was on the National Honor Society. I had all kinds of scholarships when I graduated. I was a football manager. I was a lacrosse manager because I couldn't play sports. But
Wow.
I have all of this in me. But for those who say they know me but don't really ask questions because they automatically assume,
Mm-hmm.
don't know all that I have done or have to offer to them that could possibly bless them or assist them in their life to success, that it can be hurtful sometimes, or it can be. I've seen this, the people that I've been there when I was at my worst. I was at the bottom. I couldn't tell you if I was coming, I was going. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know why I was the way I was. I questioned God, and I've recently finally just stopped questioning God in the last 2 years, honestly. Because it was like, God, why did you make me this way? What did I do? Who's who messed up before I was born that I'm paying for now? I had all kinds of questions. Why
Wow.
me? Why me? Why are the rest of my siblings okay, but why am I not? It's hard because I'm the oldest, but I'm the oldest feeling like I can't be who I'm supposed to be because I'm worried that if something happens, I can't give them the answers that they're looking for because they don't understand. You can't understand unless you're in my shoes. When I say I can't deal with this because with having a half a brain, there's so many different levels of the emotions can be everywhere. You can feel good one moment, you can feel really bad. And it's not just depression or anxiety, it's just the way the body works. And having a half a brain, the whole brain you need to be able to see, hear, listen, feel your artistic abilities and all of those things. So to go from a whole brain to then have a half a brain to still be able to do all that, it's
Mm,
very hard. But the same people who laughed at me in high school, I helped them to do stuff to help them graduate and write their reports and do all that kind of stuff. But I knew in the back of my mind that I've heard them laugh at me or I've heard them talk about me to other groups of people. But
mm,
yet and still I was still there to help them because I knew it was something that I had that could be of use to them. And it's really hard because the same disability that I despise, and I can say I despise now because that's what I say. I don't care who it is. Yes, I despise me having a disability. But I've also learned that in 1996, we have recently moved here to Baltimore, Maryland, and I was in middle school. I was coming home from school and I was assaulted. I was jumped by 5 girls. She was trying to get in the gang. I have no idea who she is, where she lived at. I only found out the school and her name after I had come to, but I was put in a coma for 2 weeks. And guess what? I only survived because I had a half a brain. So the same thing that I disliked actually saved my life. So
how
that was part of me accepting who I was.
how
And
did
even after
half a
that,
brain save you? Explain this.
because with me having a half a brain, anytime you take any head trauma, it expands your skull and expands your brain. Well,
Uh,
by me having a half a brain, with it even expanding, it couldn't just mess up as much as it could with a person with a full brain because I only had a half a brain.
wow.
So it was like that right there kind of helped me just a tad bit because it wasn't much, but it helped me enough to just be able to push just a little bit more. That was in middle school, mind you. I
Oh,
made it through
my.
high
So,
school.
how old were you?
Um,
What, 11? 10,
I
11?
was 11 years old.
Oh,
I made it through middle school. I graduated. I made it through high school. I graduated. And I made it through college. So
mm,
even in the midst of it all, and I was laughed at in middle school, I was laughed at in high school, I was laughed at in college. I even actually can speak to the people that laughed at me. And guess what? That's growth. Because I could be a person that said, I remember back in 1999 when you laughed at me when this happened to me, but why?
mm,
I'm not going back and forth because at the end of the day, yes, it didn't feel good. Yes, it was unfair, but it made me who I am today. Because now when I see people, I always say, I understand. Even if it's a person that has one limb or amputee legs, I always know your life is even harder than mine. I know if I'm struggling and I have all my limbs, whether it's limited mobility or not. If it's a struggle for me to do it with limited mobility, then I know it's a struggle for somebody that has an amputee. That's an amputee. So I always look back and say, God, thank you for allowing me to see this person in a way that I know I wouldn't have been able to see them if
mm,
I had full use of my arms and my legs. And sometimes I think that humbles me even more, but a lot of people don't understand that. They're so quick to assume what they see is what it is, and
mm,
that's not always true.
mm-mm. No, far from it. I mean, I didn't have, any physical disabilities, but I had mind disabilities. I was a slow learner.
Mm,
I was always in special education classes. I had asthma growing up, so I was slow in gym class. I couldn't run, so I got picked on a lot. So I totally can relate to that. I was bullied. I was picked on, and like you say, I don't condone it. Nowadays, bullying can be very, very violent, more so
Yeah.
than when we grew up. Um,
Right.
well, you wound up in a coma, but um, like you say, though, it did shape me. It did
Hmm.
strengthen me.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that because I was a little mouse. I was afraid of my own shadow. I mean, who would have thought me be on TV? In my own TV show. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to sit in the back of the class, so I get it. I get that, I didn't have physical any physical ailments, but I had my own stuff that people would pick on me for. So I do get that somewhat. Luckily for me, it wasn't as severe, but I understand it. I definitely understand it. And maybe that's why it didn't take me long to be friends with someone like Michelle, who I was friends with in college, because as soon as I overlooked, that disability that she had no disabilities. Like I said, we went
Yeah.
to Bermuda. She lives in Bermuda. I don't even know what she's doing now, but she lives in Bermuda. She
Mm.
was born with it. So you really want to laugh. We would rent the mopeds, right? I couldn't even get the stupid kickstand down because they're really, really hard to get down. She
Hmm.
took like 2 seconds. Here's a girl with deformed feet, and she's got all, not as able as me. Well, I couldn't get the kickstand down. She had to do it for me. Like, I can't get
And
this
see, and
up.
see, most people don't understand that because I've been guilty of not asking for help, even
Yeah.
when I possibly needed help. But I already feel like I'm already being judged by the way I look, so
Yeah.
that people already expect that I'm going to need the help. And
Mm,
there have been plenty of times where I've carried my grocery bags on my arms, both arms, and I would just carry. They were like, "Are you okay? Do you have it?" Yes, I'm okay. I'm slowly learning to actually ask for help now, but it's very minimal,
yeah.
very minimal. It would have to take me a lot. When I had to have surgery and I couldn't walk, that made the difference. But outside of that, I will push and push and push. I could be in so much pain through my whole body, and most people won't know because I'll still walk out the door with a smile on my face.
Oh, you're like my other guest, Avis. Avis she suffers from mold toxicity, and she has a lot of issues from that. Migraines and some pain in her body, and she still keeps pushing through like it's not even there. I envy that because I'll tell you, if that were me, I'd probably pull the blankets over my head. I'm not gonna lie.
To honestly tell you the truth, if
Yeah.
I go a day, I might even want to say a whole day. If I go an hour without pain, I start getting worried. I've always been so used to being in pain all my life, even from a young child, that when I'm not in pain, I feel like, oh my gosh, what's going wrong instead of what's going right because I've always been in pain.
Well, way to
And
release
people,
that tonight. You are not always in pain. You do not. God does not want you to always be in pain. Now it's time to take that pain and put it towards your purpose.
yeah,
You're gonna. I don't care if you have to write that on a piece of paper and burn it. That pain is going out the window.
yes,
Hmm.
I agree.
Yep.
And it has been lately, recently, it has been, and I've been retraining my mind to say it's okay. Everything is okay. You're not in pain. You could push through. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But when you're so used to being in pain and you operate in things have to get done. I'm a mother. I'm a full-time worker. And I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a sister, I'm a aunt, I'm a cousin, I'm a daughter. Like you always have all these lists of all your titles and positions that you don't want to lack or slack anyone because you're feeling pain that they may not understand. So it can be hard. So you just kind of take it in like, oh, I have to suck it up today because this person needs me or that person needs me. or I just can't deal with it right now, so I'm just going to suck it up. And sometimes that does not come out in the best healthy way, but
Right.
I've done it for many years.
Wow. So let's talk about some other things you've survived. So do you still suffer from epilepsy, or is that under control, and when did that start?
I actually still have epilepsy. My seizures are under control. They are more triggered when I have a series of migraines. So if my migraines increase, my seizures increase more. But my seizures actually, we can't really determine how soon I started getting seizures because of the fact that I suffer from migraines. A lot of the seizure medicine, I mean, a lot of the migraine medicine that they were giving me as a child, even up until recently, is also a seizure medication. So it was being prescribed to me for migraines, but it wasn't until 2015 when I was pregnant. I'm sorry, 2014 when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I was like, okay, something's not right, something's not right. And I walked and I actually lost feeling in my legs and I felt I was pregnant. And I went to the hospital and I said something, and they were like, "Oh, it's the baby, it's the baby." So they waited until after I had my daughter and did a what is it, EEG on my brain, and I stayed overnight, and they ran some tests, and that was another stipulation of my half a brain. They can't 100% say how severe my seizures actually are due to the fact that I only have a half a brain.
Hmm.
So it was only reading a minor percentage, but I was getting all the symptoms of it. Like my hand would tremor, my right hand would tremor sometimes. I would lose feeling in my legs, or they felt really like needles. So I was officially diagnosed with epilepsy in 2018. And since then, God has really been keeping them under control. There was an episode where they had gotten really bad, where the medication wasn't working, and we had to switch the medication. But this last set of medications, and I don't like taking it because it's about 1,600 milligrams of medication just to be able to function. Um, but I'm managing. Some days are good, some days are bad, but I keep on pushing through.
Now, was that scary for your kids? Like, have you had episodes around your kids?
It is scary because I don't get most people when you say seizures think of the grand mal seizures where you're convulsing and your tongue and everything. I don't get those kind of seizures.
Okay.
I get the seizures where I look like I'm spacing off. So I could be looking at you and then I'll just space off for a good I haven't experienced it for more than a minute, but I'll forget where I was for that short time. And then when I come out of it, I'll say, okay, I had one. But right before it happens, my hand tends to tremor and I'll try to grab something to control it. But it is very concerning, especially with me being a single parent. I
Mm.
live with my children. They can't always tell if I'm having one. So if I notice I'm having one and I'm awake and I'm around my kids, I'll say, Mommy's not feeling well. I'm having a seizure. Just stand by. But for the most part, most people can't tell. Unless I express it to them, can't tell.
You need a service dog. they
Yes,
they
that's
yeah.
$5,000. Yeah, it's $5,000.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yep.
Well, we're just putting that in the jar as done. At
Yeah.
some point, God will provide you a service dog if you need one. If
Yeah.
that's, I think it would be helpful, but maybe you don't need it. I don't know. He'll
I
provide
feel
if you need
I
it.
feel like it would be helpful when I'm away from home. Because sometimes like if I get too hot or if I'm hot and a migraine starts coming on, then a lot of times the seizure comes following behind it. So I also receive the Botox injections in my head. I get 40 shots in my head for migraines to control my migraines, so
Oh,
my migraines will be lowered to control my seizures.
And this is all because of the half a brain that you get the migraines and everything, right?
Yes.
That's I would imagine that that's yeah.
Yes.
There's no other reason that it could happen.
But
That's
also, well, migraines, my mother also suffers from migraines too. But I know the seizures also come from the fact of brain trauma, which goes back to me having a half a brain. So it's like, okay, half a brain. So 9 times out of 10, and the fact that not only I have a half a brain, but I was also assaulted and put in a coma in 1996,
mm,
which then added more trauma onto my brain. So I was bound to end up having seizures as well. But I was able to carry two babies, deliver them by C-section. Both my children are completely healthy. They
that's
don't have um any health problems other than asthma and
mm,
allergies. So that's a
wow,
blessing.
wow, that's amazing. That's yeah, that's incredible. So what about those girls that jumped you? Did they pay for that in any sort of way or nothing?
Nothing ever happened. And the year I was on my way out of high school and into college, if I'm not mistaken, the statute of limitation had passed for attempted murder, but no charges were ever they were filed, but they were never convicted. So I don't even know what she looks like. She honestly could walk by me and I would never know.
Mm,
But I can't live in fear, and God
no.
is with me every day because I've survived so much that I should have been dead plenty of times. Um, Even with the fact that doctors told my mother it was a possibility that I wasn't going to live past 1 years old. And this year, in 2 weeks from today, well, 2 weeks from yesterday, I will be 39 years old. So
Happy
in
birthday.
2 weeks, in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, I will be 39 years old. So when I tell people that I can relate, I'm saying it because I've actually walked through something that's, if not the same exact thing that you've walked in, then I've known the experience. I've been homeless. It's so many things that I can relate to people about, but people don't even give me the chance because they're so busy going by what they see. So once they go
Now,
by what they see,
you've been homeless and somewhat disabled. Talk about that.
I was pregnant with my oldest daughter. I was with he wasn't my husband at the time, but we were living together and we lost our place because he wasn't working, but I was, and we were homeless. And I was 8 months pregnant. It was
Mm,
embarrassing. It was difficult. It was stressful because I was not only a mother, we had he had two other children when we were together. So I was not only pregnant, but I was taking care of two other children and I was with him. And then we were arguing, fussing, and fighting. So it was like one trial after another, after another, after another, that I kind of had to just be quiet and deal with everybody's nonsense. Whether it was healthy, whether it was positive, whether it was even worth me being around. I felt like I had to put up with it just to say I could have a place to stay. There wasn't a shelter. And
mm,
that was the hardest thing for me because I'm looking at my life like I always said I would never deal with this. I always said I would never be in this position. I have a college degree. I'm smarter than this. So all the negative things just start coming out and it was bad. It was bad. But
mm,
I had to keep it together for my kids. So it was just like, okay, he had his two children. I never separated them. They were always my kids. There was no, oh, they're my stepkids. They were my kids. And then I'm pregnant with a baby. So I'm trying to figure life out. And I'm just coming back home from college a year, well, actually 2 years before that. I had recently had surgery when I had graduated from college a few months after that to get a rod put in my leg because my hip was in a position where it was pinching the nerve in my back. So either if I didn't get the surgery, I was going to end up in a wheelchair. Most people don't know my story because I don't share it. Even with people that are close to me, don't even know my story. And a
Wow.
lot of times they don't know my story because I don't like opening the door that I can't tell if you're ready for. Because later on, you might try to use it against me when I was actually trying to be helpful and share something that you might be able to learn from or grow from. So, yeah, a lot of people don't know my story. So, me actually coming on here today was a step in faith. And God was like, you need this, do it.
Mm. Wow. I'm just so blown away that you're sharing this with everyone, with me. I'm grateful. I'm blessed that you're doing that, and I'm excited for you because, like I said,
Mhm.
this is the you. People need your story. Never mind you. People need your story. Or stories of what
Right.
you've gone through. They might be somebody sitting back going through something, and they might say, wow, my situation isn't quite as bad as I thought. Or, I don't know, you know what I mean? Or maybe they're going through the same thing. Now they have some hope of how to get through it. I don't know. I don't know. I can't say what people are feeling or seeing, but man, I am so grateful that you're here and you're telling your story for yourself and for others.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm grateful too. And another thing is when I look at my life today, and I could go back 8 years, 7 years to see what I physically look like then to what I look like now, I look like I was literally dying back then. But then when I thought about it, I was because I was physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally drained, absent, destructive, all the kinds of words I can use. That was me. Now I'm loving on myself. I love me.
Mm.
I've gained weight in the last 2 years and it feels good. I don't like my stomach, but it really feels good because I don't know what it's like to be healthy. It was always, oh, you're so skinny. You're the skinniest one out of all our friends. You're this and you're that. Your hair is so long and pretty, and she thinks she conceited and she thinks she's all that. But mind you, in my mind, I'm disabled. Why would you like me if I'm disabled? Why would you like me because of this? So I'm sitting here questioning myself when people already don't like me because of how I look,
Mm.
even before I open up my mouth. So it's like I felt like I've had battle after battle after battle. Then finally, I just internalized everything, and it showed and my health and my the way I look. And so now people may say, well, all she wants to do is wear a two-piece bathing suit all the time. Guess what? I do. Guess what? I have a scar across my stomach from almost dying after having a hysterectomy. But guess what? I'm alive. And I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that. So this scar that I'm showing off is a remembrance to say you survived yet another battle that most people
Mm.
probably wouldn't have been able to survive. I had to get a blood transfusion. I went through all of this trying to save myself when doctors didn't listen. I kept telling them after I had my youngest that I needed to get my tubes taken out. Oh no, you're too young. You might want more kids. I said, it's not right. Something's not right. Something's not right. And when they finally listened to me after going back and forth, yes, it wasn't. I had adenosis to where um it was growing on other organs, so it was extremely painful and it was never going to stop until I got the hysterectomy. But in all of this, I had friends that stopped talking to me, turn their back on me, laugh at me, and I'm okay with that. Because guess what? I will still love them and congratulate them at a distance. It's no hurt, no harm, no foul. Like I don't have time, I don't have the energy to dwell on anybody that left me because I'm finally trying to find myself. Because I had lost myself when I was married. I lost myself when I was the mother of multiple children, along with my own children, along with outsiders, just like neighborhood family children, like others that latched on to me because I'm the caring person, that after a while I completely lost myself, to where now I'm loving on myself, and I want to love on myself so much that it doesn't matter what anybody says to me anymore, or walking past, because that's another thing. Sometimes I get so anxious when people walk by, because I'm already thinking in my head, well, what are they saying about me when they see me walk? Or what are they thinking? And what are they this? And what are they that? Or they're grinning, but are they grinning as a politely grin? Or are they grinning because they're in their mind saying something negative about me?
Mm.
And I've done it for so long that now I'm breaking that cycle, and it can be hard, because it was like I was always focused on, you have to be okay for this person, or you have to be okay for that person, or even if you don't want to do this because it might be hurtful to you or upsetting to you, you do it because you're supporting your friend, or you do it because you're supporting your family. And it was like I've always tried to overcompensate by giving out so much love when it wasn't reciprocated, to where now I can't do it anymore. Because now I'm raising two children to not accept the bare minimum when that's all I've been accepting all these years, because I was so unsure of myself.
Wow. And Pastor Trina just joined us, so I wanted to say welcome. Thank you for joining.
Welcome, Pastor Trina.
And I wanted
Mm,
to say, you said you had a lot of friends that left you. You guys that are watching in the audience, you don't know, but Ted Queese, Pastor Trina, we're all part of an amazing prayer group together. So I just want to tell you, you have friends in that group now. We're your friends.
yeah,
We're here for you. We're all one big happy family in that group.
yeah. Y'all are.
Thankful for all of you. I'm thankful you're in there, and forget them. You've got us. You've got us. And Pastor Trina helps us bring it all together. Because I'll admit, sometimes I'm by the wayside every now and then, but I pop in when I can.
Yeah.
Trina says, "Yes, you do. Thank you. We love you." Yes.
Love you too.
Yep.
And
So.
for me, I found myself, whenever I had issues that I was unsure if anybody can handle or help me deal with, I would isolate myself, because it was like, okay, I don't know who I can trust. I don't know who I can talk to. I don't know who I can go to. So I'm just gonna just sit in it and just deal with it. Let
Yeah.
everything go to hell in the handbasket. Like, I just never knew. And God was like, no, I'm here. But up until these last 8 years, where I really have been talking to God and praying to God, I've always known God was in my life because I'm alive. So for me to go through death knocking at my door more than once and him never being successful, I knew God had something for me. But in saying that, it's a mean world out here, and people can be so hurtful, that the same people that you are there bending your back over for are always available, aren't there when you really need it. And
Mm,
that's where I had to learn, okay, I can't go to this person. I can't call this person. I have to go to God. And
mm,
it wasn't literally until these last 6, 7 years when I end up being divorced and becoming a single parent and trying to figure my life out yet again. Because it was like, okay, I became a wife, had to become a wife and a mother all in the same time. So how do you go from being a wife to and being a mother to now I'm no longer a wife, but I'm still a mother and still trying to figure life out with
mm,
all my medical situations that I'm dealing with? And yes, people say that they're there for you until you really need them,
right.
until you're really going through stuff, when you're on the verge of possibly dying, or you had to have 3 surgeries in 3 years, and
Mm,
you're having seizures and you don't know what's going on, or you feel like you're going crazy and you're not sure what's going on, they all disappear.
mm,
Fortunately for me, and my degree and God and the people that God has been sending me, with you and Pastor Trina and Evangelist Tanya and DW and everybody, it was like, okay, God, you are sending people that are clear across the country. I would never see these people on a typical day, but I've been blessed so much because I'm like, even the opportunity to come on here tonight, I know it's about to set me free. I know it is
Oh,
because for so long I've been holding this in, not knowing how to get it out.
yes. You're gonna make me cry. Thank goodness. That's amazing. Takes a lot to make me cry. It is. It's just like I said, people need your story, and I'm so glad you're part of our group. You're part of us. We've got you. I mean, when you find the right people, you find the right people. You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trina says yes. He's amazing. So how long? Let's go back a little bit. How long were you married?
I was married for 6 years.
Okay. And when did the violence start? Because you haven't even talked about that yet.
Oh, that was throughout the whole marriage. But
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I had to be quiet about it. Um, because I felt like I was to blame for it sometimes where I would speak about stuff that I probably should have kept quiet about, like him not working or the finances or certain stuff. Like maybe I should, if I just would keep quiet, it wouldn't happen, or this argument wouldn't happen, or this fight wouldn't be, or me defending the kids. So instead of the kids getting beaten, I'm getting into an argument that ends up turning physical. He's playing on my mind because I feel like I now only have him in my life because everything started falling apart. So it was like it went from verbal abuse to emotional abuse to physical abuse to mental. So it just got worse and worse and worse. And I just kept on, oh, I love my husband to death. Life is good. Me and the kids, like we're having amazing time. I always had a mask on my face. I always kept it like it was the best marriage ever. Up until now, 90% of my friends don't, unless you really personally talk to me, don't even know I'm divorced because I don't talk about it. I don't brag about it. I don't speak about it because actually June the 20th would have been my wedding anniversary, but I've
So,
now been divorced for 6 years. So it's like, okay, but I did a very good job in hiding it. Was it easy? No. But that's what I knew. When I started dropping weight, it was because I was stressed. It was because I was worried. I was concerned. I was unsure. I didn't have anybody. Like these are so many things that just will continuously happen on a regular basis. Like, okay, what's going on? I don't know. But if I say this or if I do that or if I do this, this is going to happen. Or if he doesn't go to work, I still have to go to work because the kids need this or the kids need that. And I was pregnant. And then when it really got worse, I was already married with children and taking care of his. So I had to just keep on going. It was no time to, I didn't want to hear people say, well, I told you so. I told you not to marry him. I felt like I stayed in it to prove a point. To say, even though y'all told me not to marry him, see, look at us. We're still okay. We're still having kids. We're still going on vacations. We're still living life. And it wasn't like that. It was a lie. But I did
wow.
my very best until it got to the point where finally my kids spoke up for me and told somebody. And I wasn't, surprisingly, I wasn't mad. But I finally understood what I used to hear when they say, when you're tired and you had enough, you'll leave. Because even after that, I would leave him, come back, because he would use his other kids and say, well, they miss their mommy and they miss you and they want you back. So
Oh,
I would leave. I would come back. 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 And I did that for so long until finally God was like, you can't keep doing this. You cannot keep doing this. Or and he started giving me visions. I was going to be found in a pool of blood by my children. And I was like, okay, God, thank you for giving me this vision. Now please
oh,
line everything up to get me out of here. Like people don't know. I walk around and people say I'm aggressive, but I'm really not. I'm really always trying to protect myself because I just never know. And that's not a good way to be, but I'm always feel like I have to protect myself. I would love to be in a position where I can just let it all down and relax and feel comfortable and not be. Because even sometimes at work, I even find myself jumping and jittery, and people laugh and say, "Oh, did I scare you?" Yes, because that's now in me. When you experience trauma and when you experience domestic violence, that is now in you, no matter how much you try to remove it from you. I remove from the situation. I remove myself and my children from where the domestic violence happened at because I knew we had to get out of that. And by the grace of God, he lined up from the House of Ruth to the judges and everybody that got that taken care of. But I don't speak about it because unfortunately the system makes you look like it's your fault.
I worked in that system. I don't know if you know, but
And it's
yeah,
sad.
I worked in a prison for 22 years, and when I first started working there in Massachusetts, we didn't even have a file for 209As. And then little by little, we had to have a file. And little by little, we had to have, there were different stipulations. Some would have restraining orders that they could come to visit the person in jail, the father or
Oh
whatever.
yeah. Hmm.
There was, and they were judged. I mean, I'll tell you right now, a lot of people were like, okay, they have a restraining order, but they're coming to visit them. Like, what is wrong with them? But I get it. They're still in love with that person that they were. That they were.
It's not even just about the love, it's the you are so stuck in your mind what you thought the relationship was or what the marriage was to the point where that's all you're living in your reality and not the actual physical reality. So for the longest time, I just knew things were going to get better. We were going to have a really good life and then we were going to buy a house and the kids and start businesses. But yeah, the red flags were always there. But I was too busy trying to turn those red flags into God sent me over here to fix this and I can fix this instead of saying no. God probably sent me over here to be a friend and I ended up turning a friendship into a marriage, into somebody to have children with when that probably wasn't the plan at all. And I
Mm,
had to learn the hard way. But what was so hurtful was I said I would never deal with a man that hit me. I would never deal with a man that did drugs or had women issues or had problems with keeping a job. I said all of those things. But guess what, Paula? Every one of those things I've lived out in my marriage. I lived out in life. So it was like, oh, I said I didn't want any of those things, but they were all presented to me. Was
mm-hmm.
it easy? No. Because mind you, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like, how could this happen? I have a psychology degree.
Right.
Okay. I'm smart. I'm educated. I'm street smart. I'm book smart. How is this happening to me? Like everything I was questioning. What did I do wrong? How did I allow this to happen to me? And that's where it comes into play is from that point on, you now are defensive. I'm not going to say defensive, but you're now aggressive or taken to be aggressive with everyone. And I'm
Trust.
sweet. I'm so sweet. I'm so loving. I will love on you. I will be sweet to you. I will be kind to you. I will give you my last if I have it to give. But I don't take it lightly when people take me for a joke. And
Yeah.
people don't understand it. Oh, she's so snappy, or she changes up real fast. Because just as quick as you change up on me, I've now not only changed up, but I've dismissed myself to the point where before I would try to say, oh, they'll change, they'll change. They know I'm a good person. I've always been there for them. But you can't make anybody change. And
Mm,
that's all I've ever wanted people to do. I wanted to change people and get people to like me for me, or I wanted people to understand where I was coming from. And that's not always the case. It took me until I say the last 10 years to really realize when I used to hear what people think about you or what people say about you is none of your business. I did not understand that because I'm like, but they're talking about me. Like, I'm supposed to know what people are saying about me, but it's not, because at the end of the day, I can't control what people think or say about me, but I know what I've lived and I know how it shaped me. Do I say I've lived a perfect life? No, but I've managed to survive every bad trial that has come my way because I shouldn't be here today. Honestly, I shouldn't. If God did not, if He was not finished with me, I should have been gone a long time ago. Not by my,
Right?
not by my own hands, but in the situations that I've been, as far as people or the assault or just the life I started living because I didn't want to deal with life, I shouldn't be here. And that's what I try to tell people when they say, "Oh, well, you're judging me." That's the last thing I'm doing. But let me tell you something. If you present a situation or a challenge to me, I'm going to give you my opinion. If you don't want my opinion, don't bring the situation to me. I've lost friends because they brought in situations to me. Then when I've spoke on it, they didn't like what I said. So
Yeah,
instead of them addressing what I said, they just stopped talking to me. It hurt. It was hurtful because it's like, oh, I was trying to be helpful, but you took it another kind of way. And I thought, as friends and adults, we could say, well, this is my opinion. This is what I
that's a true
feel
friend.
that
Be able to really
right.
tell somebody something.
So so yeah, but I've learned, but this has not been easy. And when people say you're a survivor, you're a fighter, I say thank you. But in my mind, I'm like, no, you don't know how many days I've wanted to just give up, walk away, felt lost, confused, unsure. And then I look at my children.
Mm,
And then God has me glance back at the years, and believe me, I don't turn my head back. I just glance slightly and say, "Oh, thank you, God. I'm not where I was at. I'm not that same person.
no.
Whether it's body size, my mindset, this amount of seizures, how I'm having seizures, or all the different things I'm going through in my body. Like it's not where it was years ago, to where
Mm,
I have to be thankful and I have to be able to live and say, okay, God, thank you for giving me this. Thank you for giving me that. Because there have been times where I was like, God, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I don't. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. Why is this happening to me again? Like, God, I've already gone through this, and this, and this. And
mm,
then now this is added to it. So not only am I feeling confused, lost, unloved, unfriend, nobody wants me unless it's beneficial to them, but I still have to be the good person that I'm supposed to be. I still
right.
have to be a good parent, a good friend, a good child, a good worker. Where does it end? So yeah, so this journey is not for the weak, and
No,
it's
no.
been very hard,
Yeah.
very. These last 38 years have been very challenging, but all I can say is but God. I know I'm only here to even speak on it without getting angry or without feeling like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? Or why did I say this? It's only God. Because believe me, I didn't know where this was going to go tonight. And I didn't know how I was going to respond.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked
It's
God to,
amazing. We've only got about 1 minute left. So if anybody wants to reach you, how can they reach you? And tell us quickly about your jewelry if you'd like. Anything you want to, tell people how to reach you, how to contact you if they
I
want.
can be I can be reached on Facebook as Tyquise Randolph. On Facebook it's under my it's under my maiden name. Or you can also check out my business page for my paparazzi on Taj Treasures LLC, as well as my Taj Treasures VIP group for my jewelry. You can also find me on paparazziaccessories.com /339261. And I also have a Shopify store for my paparazzi as well that can also be found on the Taj Treasures link. And I just want to say, I want everybody to continue to push. it's just not my story, but I want my story to help someone else
Yeah.
complete their story. So I just thank you for allowing me to be on tonight.
I thank you for, first of all, for all that you've gone through, for pushing through. We've all, as prophetic people, I'll put it that way. um, we have a hard life. We go through a lot of trials only so we can help someone else. I don't think
Yeah,
people realize that. That's why it's a little bit lonelier. It's a little bit different. But I commend you for all that you've gone through. I'm sure you've had days where we could probably do another whole session where you're probably suicidal and depressed and all of that. We go through that. I went through it. But there is somebody on the other side waiting for that story. They needed your story. I don't care if we reach one person tonight. It doesn't matter. One or 100. Somebody's
yeah,
listening. Somebody's going to get something from this. And that's all that matters. So I thank you for pushing through all that you have. I
I
think
think you
coming
too.
on tonight, I know, we all know that this is just the beginning for you. People need your story on other platforms. We talked about it before we came on. I know you're going to be on stages, and
Yes,
people, especially younger kids that do get, a little bit beat up at school, with being picked on and bullied for different reasons. So if
yes,
seen my other shows, please go back and watch them. There are some similarities. I had a person that was deaf, had a person that had autism. So not just for you, Tyquise, but anybody watching, go back and watch those shows because those people are resilient too.
yeah.
They've gone through. So I thank you. I commend you for being on tonight. I know this is just the beginning. I'm excited to watch you grow
I'm
and for
excited.
good things. We are declaring and decreeing good things from here on in.
Yes,
The pain is gone. The
yes,
pain is only for your purpose now, but it's not living in you anymore.
yes.
From
I
this
agree.
day forward, in Jesus' mighty name.
Yes, amen to that.
And Pastor Trina, thank you for being on. Anyone else?
Yes, thank you, Pastor Trainer. Thank you for anyone else who's watching.
Amen. So thank you, everybody. Looking for more guests and more sponsors, so please reach out to me at my phone number is 508-330-9665 or Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger is the best way, and text my phone is the best way to get me, and I'll get back to you. So thank you, everybody. We will see you next Sunday.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.